Alright, today I'm going to be replacing the rotor on my Dodge Sprinter. My last video was a little bit long, so shorten it up, do a little voiceover of what I'm doing. So go ahead, jack up the car, chalk up the wheels, let's get the lugs off. Okay, here we see the brake caliper bolts that we need to remove. So let's remove those two, top and bottom, break those loose. We got a 13. So let's get those loose. Oh, and before I loosen those, I'm going to remove the brake pad wear sensor first so we don't damage any of the electrical components. So here we go, I got that out. Let's remove that. That is the top one. On this particular model, the top one is a little bit longer than the bottom bolt, as you see there. So put those to the side. And we're going to remove the pad wear sensor. Be careful with that. It is made of plastic, so it could be brittle. That uses a 10. Be careful with the that wire clip holder thing. That's also plastic, so it could be brittle. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting back the bolts of the sensor so I don't lose it. We'll just put that in place temporarily. And then here I'm removing the brake cap and reservoir because we're going to compress the piston a little bit so we can get this brake caliper out. So here I got a C-clamp. I'm going to compress the piston back just a little bit so I can get the caliper out here. So I've already done that. A little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom. Put a bucket there so it has somewhere to sit, so it's not hanging and damaging all the brake lines and stuff like that. So here we are removing the brake pads, front and rear. That is the one with the sensor, the wire hanging out of it. Pretty warped. Now we're going to remove the brake caliper adapter, 2 bolts top and bottom. Use 19, so we're gonna go ahead and break those loose. There's a little bit of help right there with the hammer. Broke those loose and take them out. Oh, so I moved the bottom and the top, and the adapter fell off. So there it is. Now we're gonna remove the bolt that's holding the rotor in place. So we got I think that's a T50 that we use. Yeah, star. But you can buy that at where did I get it? I think Harbor Freight. Yeah, get that at Harbor Freight or any local hardware store. They should have that tool. So yeah, I'm taking that out. That's the last piece that's holding the rotor into the there. So here I am taking that out. Okay, put that in a safe spot. And surprisingly, my rotor came off pretty easy. So usually they're stuck on there, especially if you have never replaced them. You're gonna have to bang it out a little bit, but there it is. Gonna be replacing it with the OEM Bosch rotors. There's the part number there, 16010232. And I'm sure I got these on Amazon. Let's see. Okay, so here we are. Grab the rotors, gonna put them on. Make sure your hands are clean. Don't want any oil or dirt or residue on the rotor surface itself. And here I am putting some little thread locker blue on the bolt that's gonna hold the rotor in place. So looks like, oh, I'm gonna show you a torque setting. So we're gonna torque that bolt down to 204 inch-pounds, so 23 Newton meters. Okay, and the bolt is in. but we still need to torque it down. Here's a little trick. I put 2 lugs in with a little bar so I can get a pry. Let me see. Yeah, so I can get that. Basically, so the rotor won't spin while I'm trying to tighten this up and torque it down. Okay, now that I got that torqued down, put on the adapter, put the bolts back in, and of course I have to torque that down. And before you torque them in, throw some thread locker on the bolts there. So we're going to torque that down, 125 foot-pounds. So, and to go along with my new rotors, new brake pads and sensors. So here they are. Here's the new sensor. Okay. And here I am. Oh, we got to push in the compress the pistons and the brake caliper. The tool that I'm using, it's made for a single, but I'm just gonna do a little bit at the bottom, a little bit at the top, so we push it all in, make it even. They have the double piston tools that you can get on Amazon or at your hardware store. But yeah, so clean up the guide bolts and put a little bit of silicone on there, grease, so that it guides slides in easily. And there they are, the new sensor and new pads. Go ahead and put the guide bolts in, tighten those up, and those also have a torque setting, so let's get the torque settings in. 221 inch-pounds on those guide bolts. So let's see, yep, I got those in. Okay, and we're gonna put the sensor in. Again, be careful, do not over tighten. That sensor housing is plastic, so we don't want to break that. So tighten that down and tight, and then go ahead and push your sensor in. Okay, and that should be it. Just repeat the whole process on the other side, and you should be good. Just torque it down, check your brake fluid levels, and take it for a test drive. Thanks for watching.